Hey everyone, welcome to Arts and Crafts with Tammy. You have got to try this project. It was so interesting to do, and I think the kids would love it. And I've put a list of everything that you would need to make this project. Now I've had a few people ask me to do something for children, so I thought I'd give this one a try. I have different containers because I wanted to do the eggs at different times and with different liquids. So first of all, what I did is I put one egg and put vinegar in it. And this one I'm going to do for 24 hours. I want to see what happens after 24 hours, if anything at all. So I poured that in. I made sure I got a lid that sealed pretty tight, and I set that aside. And you'll see I marked it so I don't forget. And I marked it by using a paper punch, which I've been enjoying using these, and just put on there that it's going to be the 24-hour one. And I also later on realized, I need to put the time that I did this. So I did put 11 a.m. Now for the next one. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing, repeat the same steps. I'll get a container, put an egg in there, and fill it with vinegar. If you notice, I'll actually add extra vinegar in there because I realized it wasn't covering the entire thing, and I want to make sure when the lid is on that the entire egg is covered with vinegar. So I went ahead and sealed that, did the same thing with the paper punch, and put in 48 hours and set that aside. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right, we'll put the vinegar away now, and we're gonna try the Coke this time. So container, put the egg in there. Now I made a mistake here. I got really excited and I poured the Coke first. And what I wanted to do is pour the salt first, because you'll see what happens when you pour the Coke first and then the salt. So wait for it and you'll see. Whoopsie. So yeah, it overflowed, but not too bad. But when it did that, I realized I lost some of the Coke and the salt. So I had to wait until it went down a little bit and then added more. So if you do try this, I would recommend that you actually put the salt first, then the soda. But again, make sure it's covered. Now I have to go get something to clean this with. All right, thank you guys so much for your patience while I clean this mess. Now I label this one, same thing, but this one I did 24 hours. Everything I saw, it said that I should do 24 hours, so I figured I would. If you notice, I'm still filling it up because it definitely needs to be covered as much as possible. If you notice, it is sticking up a little bit, but throughout the day I moved it around a little so that way all the sides got covered at one point. And there we go. We just wait now. And look at this, the vinegar is already at work. Vinegar, being an acid, is actually eating away at the shell of the egg, and that's what all the bubbles are. Here, the Coke, you can't really see much. Oops, learn from my mistake. I ended up having to put a tray underneath because some of the vinegar started coming out. All right, it's been 24 hours. I'm super curious what's gonna happen. So we'll go ahead and take the egg with the vinegar first. If you notice all those bubbles, it was very foamy in there. Texturally, it felt very interesting. It was very rubbery, almost like a ball. If you notice, I'm trying to bounce it around because it felt like I could easily do it and it wasn't going to break. The shell was not hard at all. But there was still some shell left. It was just extremely soft. Now we're going to look at what happened with the Coke. Well, it definitely got colored. It is now a brown egg. I was very cautious about bouncing it because the shell was hard. It had not softened at all. So I figured, let me put it back and see maybe in 48 hours if it changes at all. The 48-hour one, I'm not going to touch right now. After about 6 more hours, the one that was for 24 hours now is 30 hours. I pulled out. I was very curious. I thought, let me see what happened. If you're wondering what I'm putting it in, it's just a bowl of water so I can rinse the shell off. And as you can see, more of the shell is scraping off. Even though the shell is soft, it's still on there. But now we're seeing more and more of the membrane. Can you see the shell on my finger? It's scraping off very, very easily. Look at how much more of the membrane we can see now. Tried shining a light on it, but can't really see it very well. You'll definitely have to try this at home. It's very interesting to see and feel. There's a little part right there that's a little bit firmer than the rest. I'm assuming that's the part that was sticking out. Alright, a few hours later, I took it out again. Very curious. And again, I'm trying to shine it so you can see, but it's hard for you to see what I'm seeing. Has a very interesting texture. It's almost like a water balloon. A little bit like a bouncy ball. It's hard actually to explain how it really feels. I'm trying to scrape more of the shell to see what happens. And again with the flashlight. I don't mean to bore you with the flashlight, but it was so interesting to see. I thought for sure making the room dark would help to be able to let you see it. And you can see definitely a difference. I also tried it with a black light, thinking that that might help. But nothing exciting happened. I'm tried scraping the rest of it off, but it was still stuck firmly on there. So I decided to put it back in the bowl with the vinegar and made sure to put the hard part face down. It wasn't really hard, but the rest of the shell basically. Put it face down so that way it gets more of the vinegar. Now it's a full 48 hours. So I'm going to check all the eggs and see what happened. The first one, which is the one we started with the 24 hours, I wanted to check and see if all the rest of the shell came off. Well, not yet, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the water and see what happens. Well, it looks like most of it's going to come off now. Yep, that's all it took. So obviously 48 hours was much better than the 24. Look at that. Nice and shiny and smooth. Super soft. Definitely very bouncy. Alright, so I'm going to leave that out and we'll try the 48-hour one. I have not touched this one the entire time. And this one didn't need any scraping at all, just cleaned it up. And look at that. Perfectly smooth. Not a single piece of the shell was stuck on there. I was definitely more confident to bounce this one. It just seemed firmer. Alright, the Coke. Let's see what happened here. Nope, still hard. I actually wanted to show you that I can't bounce it, and I actually cracked it a little bit. I noticed something unique. The eggs that were in the vinegar are definitely larger than the one that was in the Coke. Then I realized that some of the vinegar, the liquid from the vinegar, flowed through the membrane, which is why the egg is bigger. Look at that, what a difference. So what I decided to do is the first egg, the one that we left for 24 hours originally, that one I left overnight and did not keep it in the vinegar. It's still soft, but not as firm textured as when it was in the vinegar. So I wasn't as confident to bounce it. It felt like it was a little too soft. And then the other one that was left for 48 hours, I actually put it in all night long too. And it didn't change at all. It was just as firm. I could have felt very confident bouncing it if I wanted to. No problems. But if you notice, and I'll try to zoom in later on, they're a little different in size. The one that sat all night, it must have lost some of the liquid because it was definitely smaller. There you go. You can kind of see it there. It was definitely smaller than the one that stayed in the vinegar. Now for the Coke. I kept it in vinegar for 24 hours now, and it's still hard. I don't think it helped that it's actually cracked a little bit. Ended up cracking a little bit more in my hands, so I ended up throwing it away in the end. But before that, if you can see, I can scrape off part of the shell and part of the coloring from the Coke. So do me a favor, try this at home and let me know what you think. I hope this gives you ideas and inspiration, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to get more ideas, subscribe and hit the notification button. In the meantime, happy crafting!